everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal, your regular Tuesday night at 5 p.m. show with Denise and Ron. And Ron's out of the picture right now, but how's
Hey,
Denise doing?
I'm great. I'm looking to see if I've gotten any emails in the last 15 minutes from our guest.
Yeah,
So just see if there was some miscommunication. I did talk to her yesterday. So
okay,
here. Oh, she sent me the covers of her books. Okay,
okay,
she'll be here in a little bit.
okay, no problem.
So that's good. At least she's validating that she's coming.
Yeah,
So
I'm really looking forward to this guest
I
because
really,
I remember her from when I was little bitty watching that show. Hello, Russell. We're both doing pretty good today.
mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm interested because like I said, if you tell somebody if you saw Star Trek and you saw the belly dancing scene, you've you've seen this lady, and I think it's going to be so interesting to hear her story, and
Yeah,
I want to focus on it because this is different than what we normally do, but it's going to be enlightening for our listeners to hear true life stories from people that survived. And
hi, Frank.
so I am excited to have her on. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest.
Go right ahead.
Our guest tonight is Tanya Lamani. And you may have seen her, as I said, in the belly dancing scene from Star Trek. She's been in some Elvis movies, and she's written 2 books. And one of them is Have Belly Will Travel, and the other one is Passport to Freedom. And we're going to talk about those. And so, welcome, Tanya.
Hi.
Hello, Tanya.
Hi. Hi. Who
Hi.
am I saying hello to?
Okay,
Well, go
go
ahead,
ahead, Mom.
Denise.
Well,
Okay.
I'm Denise. We talked on the phone yesterday.
Of
My
course.
husband will be here in a moment. And
Okay.
above you on the other side is our host, Carl Albertson.
Carl
And
Albertson. I'm the host here
Carl.
and the owner of the network that we're live on.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but
so,
it's great to have you on. When Denise told me that, I said, "Oh, I remember the belly dancer on Star Trek because I used to watch it all the time when I was little." And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great."
Oh,
the thing
yeah. Yeah. Star Trek. Amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
Star Trek and Elvis. I am invited to all kinds of functions for Star Trek and Elvis. I've done so many other things. As you can see in the back, there's Bob Hope movie that I did. I did a lot of other movies and worked with the incredible people in Hollywood, legends. And but Star Trek and Elvis are the ones that are more popular today because of people, fans that love Elvis and love Star Trek. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
How do you now? I know. How did you get into these roles?
How did I get into these roles? I explained that in my book. Did you get the cover of the Have Belly Will Travel?
yes,
Okay.
I did.
My
Yeah.
Yeah, my this one, Have Belly Will Travel. My first book really starts with I was 16 years old. I was doing a ballet show because I was trained in ballet, and somebody saw me and they said, "Would you like to go to Las Vegas and dance?" It was summer vacation. I go, "Yes, I do dance." Las Vegas, to me, Las Vegas like going to the moon. And so I wind up there at, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning because they needed me there right away. And the next day they were opening a show. So I came in to Flamingo Hotel looking for a ballet troupe. They said, no ballet. there's a belly dance show opening tomorrow. I go, belly dance? I can't do that because my father's gonna kill me, you know. So and before I knew it, they talked me into it. They said, "Oh, we'll put makeup on you, we'll put hair pieces and lights and all that. Nobody will recognize you." I said, "Okay." And I wound up being in a chorus, behind. I didn't know any belly dancing, so I was just following the other girls and doing things that I wasn't sure about, but having a dance training, I was able to follow, even if I was watching through the side of my eyes. So before I knew it, after that show, I was asked to do a solo at the Desert Inn and with Pinky Lee. Do any of you remember
That
Pinky
name
Lee?
sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was a comedian and had his own television show. So I worked with him, and after that, I had an offer to go to. I went back to Los Angeles. I had an offer to. I got an agent. My ballet teacher introduced me to an agent. In my mind, I thought he was 100 years old, Mr. Samuels. He's a sweet little old skinny guy from New York, you know. And so I met him, and he took me to MGM and walked right into MGM producers and everything, introduced me and said, "She is my next star," and I go, "Okay," you know. And anyway, I got a job working with Bob Hope. Okay. And I worked in that movie, and it slowly, but I was not a belly dancer in that movie. I was it was an international affair, it's called. And they had different girls from different countries. So I represented Middle East. Okay. And so, but I didn't belly dance at all. So before I knew it, I had some other roles. It's all in my book. And then I had an offer to do I was a slave girl and did a belly dance in at Paramount with Shatner playing Alexander the Great. Okay.
Mhm.
Alexander the Great. And I was one of the slave girls. And when I walked in and saw this gorgeous man standing in a little Greek skirt, I said, "Oh my God, who is that? He is absolutely gorgeous, like a god, Greek god." He was absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, they said, "That's William Shatner. He's playing the lead and all that." I go, "Oh wow, that's great." So as we were filming, I had a scene with one of the stars. They had lots of stars in that particular. It was a pilot, okay, and so he, Shatner came over and started asking me to go out. And I said, "Oh my God, I would follow you, but I can't go out with you." He says, "Why?" I said, "First of all, you're married.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm very young. I was like 16. I said, I can't." So that was the end of my romance, okay, with Shatner. And later, I found out that he started seeing this other belly dancer, Marlisa Pons, who later we became very, very good friends. She was not in this show. She just came in on the set to visit. So anyway, I did that, and then I did a lot of other things on and off. Started as belly dancer and started getting acting roles, and so um, finally, I was at my agent, my little old agent said, "Oh, you have an interview at Paramount." I go, "Oh, what is it for?" He goes, "It's a television series." I said, "Well, what's the name of it?" He goes, I don't know, Star something." I said, "Well, what is it about?" He goes, "I don't care. Just go get the job." I go, "Oh, okay." So I show up. I didn't even know what show it was. They gave me a script with my lines and things, and I had to audition with the lines and dancing. So I got the part, and I show up. I didn't show up filming yet. They told me to go to makeup to get my makeup done, experimented, because all the girls were from other planets and I was a goddess of love in another planet. So for 4 days, they had me in makeup. They started with all these feathers, different colors, putting on my eyelashes, putting on my eyebrows, my nose, all over my face. And I kept sneezing, and they kept sending me to the director, Joe Pevney. He looked and he goes, "Less." So this went on for 4 days. Every time they did my makeup, it was less and less and less. And finally he says, "I don't want any feathers or anything. I want to see her face." So finally I got my face normal, and I went on filming. And we were filming, and when we finished filming, oh yeah, and I met Shatner on the set, and I didn't know if he remembered me when I was introduced to him. Oh, he goes, "Oh yes, I remember you. You were in Alexander the Great." I go, "Oh yes, you remember." He goes, "Oh yes, I remember." He's a big flirt. Okay.
Oh yeah, makes me
So
blush.
anyway, I uh, I went home after we finished filming, and I get a phone call. Shatner. He goes, "Oh, I'd like to take you out to dinner." I go, "But I can't. You're married. I don't go out with married men." He goes, "No, I'm going through a divorce." So we went to dinner, and all night long, all he did was talk about his wife and the girls, his daughters. Okay. He went on and on. So I was a good friend listening to all of that, and he convinced me that I said, "Go and talk to your wife. She'll take you back." He goes, "No, she won't. This is it." I guess he did that many times. So I think she was fed up. I don't know. But anyway, after that, we started dating, and we had a lot of fun together. He was a lot of fun. And he was a lot of fun. And when I found out that he was dating a lot of other women, I go, "Oh my God, I can't do that." I was old fashioned. So anyway, that was it. That was it. We remained friends, but I didn't date him anymore. As a matter of fact, I didn't see him until later when he was doing T.J. Hooker. I went on a set with my son at that time. No, my son was still a young kid. And I went on a set to say hello to him. And he stopped the filming and he came to me, you know, and he was happy to see me and all that. So I said, "Well, good to see you." So I left, and he followed me on his motorcycle home. I'm watching in my car, and there he was. And
Huh.
went all the way
Shatner
to
said,
my home, and he said he wanted to see me and everything. I said, "No, my son is at home. I can't see you." So, anyways, we remained friends, and uh, there were other PR things that we did together and everything. And every time I see him at these Star Trek signing, we laugh and we joke and we talk. We're friends. As a matter of fact, I arranged for him to go to Germany and get an award there. So him and his latest wife went there, latest wife,
Yeah.
and so we were there all together with other stars and everything. We had a lot of fun. Elizabeth was not very cordial to me, but I didn't know why because I didn't say anything. I don't know if she found out I saw him years ago, I don't know, but she wasn't very friendly. But I didn't mind, I was very cordial. And anyway, then we uh, did other things like I invited him to go to Florida for art exhibit. He was their guest of honor, and they gave him an art piece and so on and so forth. So we kept in touch, and so that was Star Trek.
Well, the reason that Elizabeth didn't like you is because you're the one that got away.
Oh, well, he dated so many, I was just one of them. So
Yeah,
I didn't understand it.
but I doubt that he's going after these other women. Well, no, I don't doubt.
Well, I don't doubt that with Shatner.
He kind of seemed like a
Womanizer.
womanizer. Yeah, but he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, he does seem like a nice guy.
He was a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun, but he has a temper. Don't fool around with him with his temper. I've seen it, not to me, but I've seen it on other areas, like on a
Right.
set and this and that. Yeah, he was difficult sometimes, but other than that, he's very bright, very intelligent, very talented. He was a Shakespearean actor, before he
Mhm.
was on Star Trek. So he had a lot of great training and he had this great voice that I thought was very, very sexy. Anyway, yeah, he was a lot of fun. It was a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
I figure he
That's
had,
great.
from him being on this new show that he's on, Unexplained. I know you haven't seen it, but
He makes a lot of funny facial expressions, on stuff that's. Would you believe there's people out there on outer space that are visiting us? Yeah, it's just the way he says it, and his facial expression is funny.
yeah, he keeps you interested.
That he
Oh
does.
yeah,
They
he's
do
an
it
interesting
on all
man.
topics.
So,
Can you imagine at age 90, he went on a capsule? I mean, that takes a lot of guts.
oh yeah,
How old is
90.
he? Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he did.
90, 90 or 91? Wait a minute, 90, 90, I think 90.
Yeah.
He's a young 90. He's a very
Yes.
young 90.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so as you said, you played a role representing the Middle East. How did your family get to Iran?
Oh, well, it's in my second book, Passport to Freedom. I just finished it. I printed some copies for my family. There it is. Isn't that beautiful cover?
is.
Yes, it is. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very proud of this book because a young woman, actually Iranian woman, designed that cover. My husband and I, we gave her a lot of information and photos and this and that and ideas that what we wanted, and she designed that cover, and I
wow.
love it. Yeah. So that book is about my parents growing up in Ukraine mostly I'm Ukrainian. I had one grandfather who was Russian, who was in the Tsar's army as a officer and executed by the Reds. Okay, so he was Russian, but he was married to my Ukrainian grandma, and my father's side also Ukrainian. So I'm mostly Ukrainian, and I do have a small part uh, of uh, the grandfather that was from Iran, but he was Assyrian, Christian Assyrian.
Mhm.
So Assyrians, they were a mixture of different things. So I do have some kind of a Middle Eastern in blood in me. I very little, but I do. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but mostly Ukrainian. So the book is about my Ukrainian family growing up, and through my uncles, grandparents, my cousins, my parents, the stories that they told me, some of them from even recently from Ukraine, before Ukraine was bombed. I got information, photos that were over 100 years old, and stories that I got all the stories and I put them in a book. And through those stories, we discover the horrible things that they experienced during Lenin and Stalin
Oh yeah.
in Ukraine. And so when my parents, and it's not a documentary, however, you learn a lot what Lenin and Stalin were saying and professing to people to get them enticed into under their grip. They lied to people. They promised freedom. They promised lots of work. They promised lots of food. They promised uh, 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 equality. They said they're not going to have poor and rich. It'll be equal, but they forgot to tell people that everybody's going to be equally poor, you know?
Yeah.
So as time went by, of course, people were dying of hunger on the streets. People were oppressed. You could not go to church. You could not teach children prayers. They would take their children and program them, you know, in a certain way, so that they would follow their agenda. Okay. So a lot of it through the stories of my parents and all my relatives, you hear what we hear today. It's scary. It is scary. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel that if people read my book, the ones that don't know what's happening in the world and in this country, they might see something that will trigger them to question things, you know. And that, of course, was one of my uh, reasons to write this book. But mainly it was a history of my relatives, my parents and my grandparents, and the whole thing for the family. So I printed enough books to give my relatives, and it says it's for promotional purposes only. That's the thing that you saw, and for my family. But I'm going to, last year I went to Patriots Award, and I met Dan Bongino and Janine Perot, and
Oh really?
stories.
Oh
I
wow.
love
Yeah.
Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
he's
his attitude.
amazing.
Yeah. Great people.
So
Yeah. And I met them. So I pitched them the story, but I didn't have the book yet, you know, last
Wow.
year. And they were interested in reading. So I'm going again this year, taking my book and handing them the book, hoping
Oh,
maybe they will help me get a good publisher, because I need a publisher. I'm trying to look for publishers right now as we speak. My husband really helps me with things. You know, he's helped me a lot with this whole book by helping me with research, by fixing all the photographs, the old photographs that were not that good. He fixed them. He put them in a book because they're all in the book. Lots of photographs. So this book that I have has photographs in color, actually, a lot of them, and
Wow.
they're gorgeous. And the book came out beautiful. I'm very proud of it. You know, so this is when my parents, like for instance, my father's grandfather, he had a farm and he was well to do because he started with nothing, but he grew and built a farm life, and he was doing very well. He had cows and chickens, and he had a big farm, and he had wheat, and he was selling. He was making sausages and selling them all over to Ukraine, to Russia, to outside like Poland and other places. So he did very well for himself. When he knew what was going on in the country, he went and made ham out of the pigs and things, you know, ham, and he took a lot of food and buried it. He built a special container to put the food and under his house. So when the poverty was all over the place and people were dying on the streets, you know, and they would come sometimes knock on his door, can you spare a piece of bread or whatever, you know, he would go into the basement, take some food and feed the people secretly.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stories what people did, you know, a lot of amazing stories that I have in this book, you know. So my grandfather, my father's father, also suffered from the people because they came to his farm and took most of his things, you know, and um they were asking for gold. They said, you've got gold, and my grandfather says, no, I don't have a gold. So they drag him to jail, they beat him up, they left him in jail for a while trying to get the truth from the gold, you know. And he kept saying he does not um have gold. So anyway, after a while, they let him come home, but he was never the same. And his picture only picture that I have, is in the book. The reason for that too is because in 2013, my house burned down to the ground and I lost everything, including a lot of photographs, you know. So one of the photographs I have is when he was very already beat, not in good, you know, he didn't look as good without a beard and he looked old and stuff. So, but yeah, there's stories like that in the story. And then when my parents grew up, my mother was an artist and she went to art school when she grew up. She had a very bad childhood, very bad. For instance, one of the things she did, because of her father being in a white army, she was persecuted. And when she went to school and they found out that her father was executed, but he was officer in a white army, they took away her portion of pieces of bread. They would distribute bread to children every day because of hunger, because of lack of food. They would distribute little pieces of bread to the children. They took her portion. So she didn't have even a piece of bread to eat. Okay. There was a young boy sitting back of her. His name was Leon Chulok. This is leading to something I will tell you later, but remember this name, Leon Chulok, okay?
Okay.
So he was sitting in the back, and he was a Jewish little boy, and he secretly was sharing his piece of bread. It brings tears to my eyes, I swear, When things are so bad, people are the one who help each other, even children, okay? So this later on, I'll tell you the punchline to that story. Well, my mother was persecuted, but when she was old enough, she was accepted in art school. And when she finished her art school to be a teacher, and her girlfriend, they both were sent to Turkmenistan to teach uh, underprivileged children. So they were in Turkmenistan, close to Persian border, and then there were a lot of bad things happening in Turkmenistan. They were killing all the Ukrainians and Russians there, so they decided to escape to Iran. The parents did not know, relatives did not know what happened to them. They disappeared on them. So they thought they died. They were killed. But my mother and her girlfriend over these huge mountains in the snow and horrible conditions, animals. They had nothing. They had few pieces of bread, a knife, a compass. That's it. And they went through a lot of interesting stories that is in my book. And they finally survived and got into Iran. And once they got in Iran, they almost were raped by some Persian peasants, but they said my mother was amazing woman. You'll read about her. She was a survivor. Because they lost everything. The only thing she had was a compass. Okay. So when these two guys wanted to attack the two girls, pretty blonde, blue-eyed girls, Ukrainian, and my mother decided to show them the compass, and she was going, see, they couldn't speak Persian or anything. So the two guys, they thought it was magic. Okay. So when they wanted to grab it, my mother took the compass and threw it far away. While they were fighting over the compass, they ran and hid behind the big rock. Then the two Persian people, husband and wife, were passing by. They picked them up. They took them home. They were lovely people. They fed them and everything. They cleaned them up, and they took them to town and they helped them get a job in a hotel in Persian little town. You know. So her girlfriend fell in love with one of the very wealthy client there that came to that hotel and took the girls to Tehran, to Iran. Okay. And there's a lot of different stories. And my dad went to Iran in a different way. And my mom and dad met in the church there and they got married. And I was born there. My brother and sister were born there. Okay. And interesting stories. Interesting stories. Very quickly, I'm going to tell you one. My mother was, as I told you, an artist, right? She decided to open a business in Iran. She opened the business and she lived with a family, Russian family. And the lady and her, they opened this shop. And my mother, the Shah at that time, Reza Shah, the father of the late Shah, um, told the ladies they can take the veils off. He wanted to modernize Iran. So hats came in and nobody had hats there. So my mother started making hats and she put artwork, she put her dolls, she made dolls, paintings, and hats. So she was making a lot of money. Everybody was coming, buying everything. And she became very successful. When Iranians found out, they said, a woman, a foreigner in business, making money, unheard of. So they were going to exile her and took her to jail. So she was sitting there very scared, didn't know what's going to happen to her. Finally, a big car came and picked her up and took her to the palace. And she thought, oh my God, what am I doing in palace? They're going to hang me here, you know? She didn't know. And she was waiting, and she was in a hall, main hall, looking at all the artwork there that was hung. And all of a sudden, this man is coming up to her, and it was Reza Shah, the 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 Shah of Iran at that time. And
Mhm.
he introduced himself, and she thought, oh my God. And he says, you're an artist. I saw your art. I would like you to help fix all the art in the palace, because I'm having a big party, international party. Can you do that? My mother said, yes, yes, I can do that. So after he saw her work, he had her do it. And then after, he was very pleased. After that, he says, go back to your business, open your business, you're okay. So
Oh,
that's just
great.
one of the stories.
I
There were
can't wait to
so
read all
many.
this. So, I mean, your
Yeah.
stories are excellent. You yourself are an excellent storyteller. Frank said, he goes, I was astonished at Tanya's memory for details when he read your first book. So
Yeah.
I hope that you find a publisher for this Passport to Freedom, because I think that it would be on the bestseller list probably very quickly. So
Well, okay. Thank you. Thank you for your prediction. But you see, my father, my mother, and I, all three of us, we had a dream. Okay, we had a dream of coming to America, and my father wanted to work in America as a geologist because he had his training in that. My mother wanted her art in museums, and I wanted to get into the film business. So after so many years, we finally came to America. We were very poor. We lived in somebody's basement, and my dad was working as a janitor. My mom was cleaning hotel rooms, and I was working after school, trying to help. And my father finally, after a few years, went to Washington, D.C. He um, took a test. He was 55 years old. He took a test with young doctors from Harvard and this and that. They took tests together, and his score was the highest. So they looked at his score. Who is this man? They thought he was cheating, so they brought him in the office, sat him down, start talking. And my dad had a very thick accent, but he spoke English, but very thick accent. So they started asking him questions, and he kept answering them, and they said, my God, the man knows his business. So that they hired him, and his dream came true. My mom's art went into different major museums in Los Angeles, okay? And I, of course, went to Hollywood and was accomplished, very busy actress, working actress, okay? And so the American dream came true, you know? And all through these stories, you will see God's hand with my mother, with my relatives, with me, with our whole family, my brother, my sister. We had God everywhere. I had miracles happened to me personally, you know. And at age 5, my first discovery was when I was sent to French school, Catholic French school. I would come home and I would pray every night, and my dad would be there, and I would pray and pray, and and then when I finished praying, I would kiss like that all around me. My dad says, "Who are you kissing?" I go, "I'm kissing angels." And he says, "Where are the angels?" I go, "They're around me everywhere," you know? He said, "Oh my God." That was when I was like 5 years old, okay? But since then, there were so many miracles on my life, and it was God's hand that saved me, okay? And so this whole book has that. My sister, my brother, me, we are very, very thankful to God and Jesus Christ, which we are so grateful because we are blessed. And I know I am blessed with my family and my grandkids. My son is fabulous. Great, great son, the best son in the world. My daughter-in-law is fabulous. My grandkids are fabulous. My husband, Charles, is incredibly, he's so supportive in every way. And his children, you know, are amazing kids, you know, and we are such good family. And the last picture in my book is last year's Christmas, where we all are together, you know, and my last words in my book says that America has gone through many things, bad, good, whatever. And I truly believe it will survive whatever is happening now. I said, I know God will help all of us. I said, I believe it will all be saved. We're all going to be saved. This country, the world, you know, I believe. I have faith in God. Okay. And I thanked everybody. And I also said that that um, because of all the good things that have happened to me and my family, we are grateful for all our blessings. So it is a good book. It is uplifting at the end, you know, it's very uplifting, but you will read all the good, bad, scary, and God helping all of us, you know, in this book. So basically that's a highlights of things.
Right.
If you have any question.
Oh, we have tons of them. That's the thing. It's like, how do we start?
How many languages do you speak?
I fluently speak 3.
Okay.
And then I can understand some Ukrainian. I can understand a little Polish here and there. And yeah, so basically 3 fluently. Yes. Russian, English, and Persian. 3.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. And I read and write in 2 languages, English and Russian. Oh, and I can read Persian very slowly, but I can read. Yeah.
I would have to translate it all, so it doesn't matter. So Frank's given us some information, which we talked about on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you all know that Tanya worked with Elvis too. And so, do you want to share any stories
How's
about
Elvis
working
doing?
with Elvis?
Oh God, yes, yes.
How's he doing?
Elvis was an amazing man, okay? And he will always be remembered because of that, you know. He was very spiritual, he was brilliant, he had a photogenic memory. Oh, photogenic? No, photographic memory. You know, he was very smart. He was generous with himself and whatever else he shared with people. And of course, the voice, and what a gorgeous man he was, you know. Yeah. So when I saw him first in the movies, I thought he was cute. You know, he was cute. He sang good. But that's about all I can tell you about that. So when I was on the set near the makeup room, I saw this man walking, and I looked and I saw this aura around him. This aura was so gorgeous. I couldn't believe it. And he walked with a little smile, crooked smile that he had. He was walking towards all of us, and he was introducing himself to everyone on the set. He says, "Hi, I'm Elvis. What's your name?" And they would say, "I'm Mary, I'm John, I'm whatever, you know." And he says, "Hi, I'm Elvis." And he would shake their hand. Then he came to me. I was like dumbfounded by him. He came to me and he says, "Oh, you're Tanya. You must be Little Egypt," because that's who I was in his show, Little Egypt. Okay. I go, "Yes." And he goes, and he started talking. I don't know what he was saying. I kept hearing blah, 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 blah. And I kept saying, "Yes." And he kept saying, "Blah, blah, blah, blah." I go, "Yes." He goes, "Blah, blah, blah." I go, "Yes." And he goes, "Blah, blah." "Oh, yes." And then he says, "Tanya," really loud. I go, "Yes." He goes, "Can I have my hand back?" I was holding on to his hand. I was let go.
Oh,
Yeah, that was my first thing with Elvis. Okay, that was my first introduction to Elvis. Then, of course, we were filming, and he was very funny, and very sweet. And he was singing, and I was dancing, doing my dance. Okay, and because in those days you could not show your belly button, okay, they would always put something in your belly button, like a flower. This time it was ruby, you know, because he sings about ruby in my belly, you know. And they put a little red ruby in my stomach and glued it up. But every time I moved, the this ruby flew off.
Yeah.
So Elvis would have to stop, and then they would put the ruby back, and this happened over and
Well,
over and over, but he never lost it. He would laugh and smile. Are you there? Oh, you're there.
yeah, we're still
yeah.
Yeah,
here.
we're
And
here.
yes, he laugh and smile, you know, and make jokes. And he would, some of it was like, my belly, Tanya, my belly, you know, and he would say this and that and the other. And, you know, working with a lot of big movie stars, they were all prima donnas. If something like that would happen, they would go into their dressing room and sit there and say, "Well, call me when you're ready," you know,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. Not him. He was sweet. He was right there, starting to sing over and over again, you know. So that was our wonderful experience. And while I was in a set, of course, I met Colonel. I didn't care for him. I knew nothing about him. Zero. I didn't know. But when I shook his hand, I had this bad feeling. You know, I get that way sometimes, a lot of times, you
Yeah.
know.
Nobody seemed to like him.
Well, I didn't know why,
Yeah.
because I didn't know anything about him. I just got this weird feeling. So I didn't say anything, you know. And as I was sitting there, I also heard this one black gentleman came to Elvis and gave him this music sheet. Okay. And I didn't know what it was about. And they were talking about something. And Elvis says, "Yeah, leave the music with me." And I found out through somebody that it was the first time he looked at this piece of music. Of course, later I realized that maybe he'd seen some of it before. But at that moment, he only saw that piece of music, which was the latest piece, you know? And so then the next day, he was filming If I Can Dream in a white suit. If you see that show, you'll see him standing there singing If I Could Dream. This song brings tears in my eyes. I love that song. It's so Elvis. He's the one who wanted to do that. Of course, Colonel didn't want him to do any of it. He wanted Christmas songs, Christmas show. But um, uh, Steve Bender, the producer, and Elvis helped Elvis to confront Colonel and do a show which is called 68 Comeback Special. Elvis 68 Comeback Special. That was in 1968. Okay. And it had amazing dancers doing group dancing, jazz, and everything. It had great songs, and it had this one song, If I Can Dream. And when I saw Elvis do that song, he finished singing the first time. He turned around to his guys, musicians, and he says, "Hey, so and so," I don't remember which one it was. He says, "You missed one note." I'm sitting there. I'm thinking, not did he only learn all the words, but he knew every note in that music piece when he sang, you know? He was brilliant. Nobody gives him credit for that. He was a very brilliant man. And the last movie I saw about Elvis, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, but it was not about who he really, really was. He was spiritual. He was compassionate. He loves Black people. They criticize him of being racist. He was not a racist. He had Black people in his shows everywhere. He had Black, I mean, we went to his home in Tulupo, where he was born. You know, we went to his little house. We went to his church, where, and then he went to Black churches and he sang with them. You know, so when they call him racist today, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely insane. You know, he was a very generous, kind man. Okay, brilliant man. And when he was in Las Vegas at the Hilton Hotel, in a main room, I was in the show, my show at the lounge. So one night, somebody says, "Elvis is in the audience," just before I went to do my show. I go, "Really? I'm going to go say quick hello to him." And I went to him and I said, "Hi." Before I said anything, he got up and there were guys around him. And he says, "Tanya, hi, sit down, have something, drink." I go, "No, no, I have to go get dressed." I said, "Are you here to see the checkmates?" Because the checkmates were the people performing. They're a pretty big group before my show, you know. He goes, "No, no, no, I came to see your show." I go, "My show?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh my God." And I knew I had to sing in my show. I did a medley of 3 songs in my show. I danced, I did a medley, I did jazz, I did, a show. So I go, okay. Oh, wow. I was nervous. So I went and put my sexiest outfit on. And when I did the songs, he gave me a standing ovation. That's Elvis for you, you know? He gave me a standing ovation. Of course, everybody stood up for me, you know? So that was just one of those things that he did to people he liked. And he liked me. He invited me to see his show. He invited me to different times for, you know, when they had breakfast and things like that. And we talked. And he picked my brain because at that point I did already a lot of acting roles, and I also did a lot of plays. I was in a theater. I did a lot of different plays in the theater. So he was picking my brain because he wanted to do different films in a serious roles. So he asked me questions and I gave him some pointers. And I even told him, I said, you know, you should actually do a play, do a theater. You'll learn a lot. It really teaches you a lot of depth, you know? And he says, I can't do a play, you know. He was very famous and he just couldn't expose himself to a small theater, you know, where you really learn a lot. So anyway, we had a lot of discussions. I gave him some pointers. We became good friends, okay? And I got to know the man. So that is some of the stories I have in my books about Elvis and who he was.
And that's in the book, Belly Will Travel, correct?
It is in there, and I have some stories in my new book as well.
Okay.
I don't have
Well,
to go into a detailed information about a lot of my stories that I have in Have Belly, but I do have some stories because
yeah,
I had to show in my latest book that I did become a successful actress. Okay, so I did show some of the credits, and so that's why. Yeah.
well, of course you have to. You can't get much more American than Elvis Presley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my dad, my dad had every album Elvis ever made, except for the last one because my dad died before, just the year before Elvis, and my dad took us to see every movie with Elvis in it. So
Oh yeah.
we knew it.
How
We
many
knew it
movies did
all.
he do?
I have no clue. All I know is that we were always at a movie for Elvis
That was
at
a
some
lot.
point. And, Blue Hawaii, I don't know how many times I saw it. I don't know how many times I've seen Jailhouse Rock. I can't even tell you. So, but I hear an Elvis song
Yeah.
and I'm transported back to being 9 years old. So, yes,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
parents went to see Elvis in Madison Square Garden the second show of his last time there. And it's the last
Oh.
date I remember my parents going on. So, like I said, I think everybody has an Elvis memory that was born before 1970.
Yes. Yes. And you
Yeah.
know something very quickly, it is in my book, extensive information. My brother, I had him over on a set when I was filming, and he fell in love with Elvis. My sister and my brother were there. And my brother, he has the most incredible voice. So he knows every song. And when he was a young man, and he went and had a lot of different what do you call it, auditions to sing in different places, and they were talent shows, and he would perform and the girls would go absolutely crazy. My brother was really good, and he had few moves and all that stuff. He's a good dancer. So he was He won first prize, second prize, and they were like $100, $50. That helped him during his school and everything else, you know. So to this day, we had a party in our backyard. Well, before COVID, and we had a guy who sings Elvis. He's a tribute artist in our backyard singing with his live band. And my brother got up and sang, and he was really good still, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, we have connection to Elvis and his music.
You told me a story yesterday about when your mother was passing. You said something about her brother came to visit. You want to tell that story?
Yes, yes. My mother, well, there's another story that is even better than that. When
Okay.
she was 4 years old, it is in the book. She loved her father, who was the officer in the White Army. Okay, she absolutely loved him, and he loved her. They were so connected. So when he disappeared, and my grandmother and my mother did not know what happened to him, and my grandmother was looking for him all over the place because they did not know where he was. Okay, uh, one day at around 5 in the morning, my mother had a vision, and she started seeing her father in this huge room. She explained it as a big room. It was a warehouse. But she says, "Oh, Daddy is in the big room with lots of his friends. There were all these guys are his friends. They're all there, you know. Oh, I see my daddy. I see my daddy." And then she says, "Oh, my daddy is going to the wall and he's writing something on the wall. And there are a lot of other guys, his friends, writing something on the wall." And she says, "Oh, that's nice, you know." And so then she sees these soldiers coming in with guns and pushing all the guys out. And she says, "Why are these bad guys with guns are pushing these friends and my daddy out?" And they were pushing them out. And she says, "Oh, they're outside. They're standing in front of this big hole. There's a big hole and they're standing there." And she says, "Oh, Daddy's praying. Daddy's praying. Daddy's praying, you know." So I'm sorry, somebody at the door. I don't know who. My husband will get it. And uh, she says, "I don't know, my daddy's praying, you know." And then she says, "Oh, these guys are shooting all his friends. Oh, my daddy got shot. My daddy's shot. My daddy falls into the hole. All of them fall into the hole." And she's screaming and crying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." And then her mother comes and she starts calming her down. She says, "You're having a bad dream." And my mother wakes up and she says, "No, no, not a dream. I saw it. I saw my daddy, you know." And her mother calms her down. A week later or so, my grandmother finally got information where these guys were held in this big warehouse. It's a far away, it's a snow, and she goes to that warehouse and she sees it's an empty warehouse. Okay. And she didn't know before she left, she saw all this writing. She reads other people's writing, you know, on the wall. And then she found her husband's writing. And it was exact date exact time that my mother had a vision. And it said, "My dear wife, my wonderful boys," and he named the boys, "and Valentina," my mother's name, "I probably, when you get this letter, I will not be alive anymore. I just wanted you to know, to my grandmother, the boys will be okay because they're boys, but please take care of Valentina." So when my grandmother read that, she fainted. Then when she came to, she lost her mind. She was walking around in the snow, totally crazy, talking crazy. People found her, brought her home. She went into a terrible depression. Okay. And anyway, she thought her daughter, my mother, was evil or something, because my mother had this vision. She said, "You put a spell on your father, and that's why he died." My mother said, "No, no, I love my daddy. No, no." But she was mean to my mother. So my mother went through a lot of bad things in her childhood. So my mother survived everything. She became very strong, strong woman. Okay. So my mother, at her bedside in the hospital before she died, I used to come there all the time, every day, made sure the nurses were taking good care, pills and everything that she needed. I would feed her when she was able to eat, but then she wasn't. So, but she was still very bright in her mind. She was not, my mother never lost her mind. She was very sharp. One day I come and she says, "Oh, Tanya, my brother came to visit me." And it was her older brother who'd always took care of her when she was little, protected her. She says, "My brother, Shura, came to visit me." Okay. I said, "Shura?" I said, "You had a dream." She goes, "No, no, no. He was right there. We were talking, you know? I said, I didn't want to say anything. I knew that her brother died a month before.
Oh,
I
wow.
never told her about his passing. I didn't want to upset her. Okay. But I got a notice from Ukraine that her brother, Shura was short for Alexander, died. My mother didn't know that. She says, "Oh no, we were talking." I said, "Well, what did he say?" "Oh, he told me not to worry, that he will be always with her, not to be afraid. He'll be right next to her." I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say. I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." I didn't want to, say anything. I said, "Well, that's good. That's wonderful, you know?" So, yeah, my mother had many things that she was very in tune with, spiritually and everything. And I guess it's a sixth sense or whatever it is. I mean, we have five senses, but then we don't know anything about the sixth sense. It's not developed yet. Maybe one day. Some people have it. Maybe my mother had it. I've had it somewhat. It's in my first book,
Well, you said you
which
saw
scared
auras. So,
me a lot. Scared me a lot. So I had to give it up. Because it's a scary feeling if you have something like that. But yeah, my mother had that. My mother had that.
yeah. Well, I think what your mom had when she was 4 was possibly an out of body experience. You
I
know,
don't know, but
because I had something similar. Because I witnessed my dad's death and didn't know he had died until the next day. for sure. I mean, I thought it was just like I was there. And then when I was at my dad's funeral, I've told people this before. I saw him walking around. I had no clue he was really dead. I thought he was faking. I thought he lied to me, and he was just doing it to get out of child support. Is what I thought at 10. But you said that you see auras. Do you still see auras today?
Not really. I don't. I mean, sometimes I do, but not really. No, it was one of those things that was such a strong aura on Elvis that I couldn't miss it. It was gold and purples, and I mean, it was beautiful. You know, so I had an experience when I was. Which one was it? I had several experiences. I had a dream about my dad, okay? No, well, about my little brother. I had a baby brother, and I loved him very, very much. He was a sweet little boy. I was around 11, and he was like 8 months. And I loved him, took him on in the carriage he loved this particular type of flowers and birds. So I loved him. And one day I had a dream, and it scared me. And I woke up and I ran to my mother. I said, Mommy, Mommy, um, Nicholas, name was Nicholas. I said, Nicholas, I had a dream that Nicholas died. She goes, oh, how? I go, you had him in a carriage, and then he turned blue, and he turned blue, and I kept saying, he's blue, and you kept saying, oh no, he's gonna be all right, and you were kind of throwing him up in the air, and so on and so forth. She says, what? No, it was just a dream. It's not gonna mean anything. He's fine. Do you know, a few days later, he died exactly how I had a dream about him. Exactly. He
That
had something where he turned blue, and my mother was trying to get him back, and he would get his breath back, and it happened 3 times. The third time, he never survived, and he died. Okay. That was one of the things. The second one that I had a dream about my dad. My dad and I, we were very close. And I took care of him. I always took care of my mom and my dad. And my dad was very close with me. So I would always take him to the hospital or doctors or this or that or the others. So after he passed away, I had a dream. I would have a lot of dreams. He would come knocking on the door, and he was cold and skinny and scared. And he says, can I come in? I'm cold. Can you feed me? I go, yes. And he would come in, and I would take care of him. And this happened several times. Okay. Then on his birthday in January, he died in October. In January, I had a dream. And he came to me. He was looking good. He was smiling. He was happy. I go, Dad, you look wonderful. What's going on? And he says, I am so happy. I said, why? Why are you happy? He goes, I live in a place that I'm so happy now. Can I take you with me? I go, yes. So we go into this long hall. As we were walking in this long hall, I kept hearing people on each side in sort of compartments, little apartments or something. I did not see who they were. I did not look. We were just walking and I could hear them. And then he comes to a little compartment, and we walk in. He says, this is where I live. And I looked around and I go, what's so good about this place? It was nothing. It was very simple. So I said, really? I didn't want to say anything. He says, yes. And he takes me to the window. And it was a huge window, glass, big view. And I looked out, and it was hillside, green pastures of hills and hillside, absolutely peaceful and gorgeous. And my dad says, look, isn't that beautiful? That's why I'm so happy here. Do you know, after that, I never dreamt of him again. I
Wow.
think he was trying to tell me he was doing okay, wherever he was.
So, so you're telling us that you have prophetic dreams. So that is very interesting. I have a cousin that she has those, and some of the things that she tells me is just amazing from what you can gather from someone's dreams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah.
make you feel better, that's even better.
Yeah. It made me feel better. Yeah. And one more thing that happened to me, I had a minor surgery, and I think they put me out on something. I don't think it was a full-time thing, but it was some kind of a thing where I wasn't bright. It was like, it was a dental thing. Anyway, so I have this vision, and it was not a light at the end of the tunnel or anything like that. It was something different. It was, I saw um, people silhouettes on each side talking. I couldn't see faces or bodies. It just silhouettes of people on each side. And then I was looking out front, and I saw this light, a nice, like a light, not a tunnel of light at the end. No, it was just a bright light. And I know I heard God speak to me. Okay? I heard God speak to me, but not in a voice, but mentally. It was not like I heard words from him speaking to me. I didn't even see more or less the face. I just saw something. I didn't know what it was. But mentally, I heard a message. And he was saying, I said, what's happening? He goes, nothing. You are blessed. You are blessed. Not to worry. And that was it. So I am very much believer. Okay? I'm a great believer. And I'm very blessed to be able to do that.
Still, I'm almost speechless, and I'm never speechless.
Right.
And,
And I don't tell that to too many people. When I have interviews, and a lot of interviews, I don't talk about it. Something that I don't talk about.
I'm glad you did, because it's strange. Last night I had a guest on my other show that he said that God speaks to him too. So apparently we have a theme this week. God speaks to me, and I'm glad to hear that it's not just one person.
Right.
We always want to know, why not me? Well,
Yeah.
we don't need to worry about that. We now know that 2 people in 2 days. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So,
He picks who he wants to communicate with at the time.
well, definitely. And you
You
are.
know, I am blessed, but a lot of people think, well, maybe it's something that you wished for, and maybe subconsciously I did. I don't know, but not consciously. I didn't go sit there and say, oh, I'm gonna wish for this or that and the other. I haven't done that, So subconsciously, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I did and God answered. I don't know. I just know that my parents were uh, uh, Orthodox Christians, because of their background. Um, Russian Orthodox, Greek came from Greek Orthodox, but they were Russian Ukrainian Orthodox. Okay, so they were not um, able to really express faith in church there or anything. Later on, my dad was a scholar. He studied Jewish faith, he studied Buddhism, he studied Christianity. He was an incredible, brilliant person. Okay, and so he studied all the religion, and we all believed in our religion, but we went to church, but not we were not really that how can I say that religious. We were religious, but we were not super religious because of that background. Although I have reached out to the church many times, and many times, because I believed. And I would go to Russian church. I would pray all the time. I put candles and everything. I did all the things. Easter was my favorite holiday. Easter was a big deal in Russian Orthodox church, Ukrainian Russian Orthodox church. So Easter was a very big holiday for us. Christmas was good, but Easter was more of a religious type of a thing.
Right.
And it was not because we were that learned in the religion, okay? But to me, it's not. It's great to know Bible, because there are amazing things in the Bible. Amazing. We go to church now. It's called Shepherd Church, and the minister, amazing one. He interprets things from the church in such plain language that we learn quite a bit that way. And this last Sunday, he was so wonderful, encouraging all of us to give love, understanding to everyone, including all the people who might not know God, might not know Jesus, might not know all the spiritual enlightenment, and they might be misled by evil forces. I believe there are evil forces today, and that to love them and to love them and to love them. And basically, that was his sermon, you know. And I really try to do that. It's not easy, because people sometimes don't want to hear you. They think you're a fanatic. I'm not a fanatic. I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. However, I am spiritual, and I try to explain to them that we are all God's children, and Jesus was his son who came here to teach us all the goodness and all the love. Okay? You might not believe in Jesus, but you have to know he only preached, professed goodness, love, spirituality. He was a good teacher to all of us. I said, if you could learn that, you would be better person in the world, because he knew nothing but love for all of us. Okay. So basically, that's all I can tell people. I can't say anything else. Besides, I thought about God way long time ago. And I said, you know, this earth, when we didn't have airplanes, we didn't have ships, we didn't have post office or anything to write letters. We had no idea if we lived in this part of the earth. We did not know what's happening in the other side of the earth, but there were people there living. We lived here. That one has lived there. This one lived here, you know. But the main amazing thing that you discover is if you go and start researching, they all discovered higher powers. They called it different names, but they did discover higher powers other than statues that some of them believe that this god was this god. They discovered higher powers. How? Without ships, airplanes, mail, any communication from each other. How?
Exactly.
See,
God has
Exactly.
that
we
information.
got a theme going this week.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank says he's curious. He wants to know what you dressed up for Halloween.
Oh, she freeze up.
Yep, it froze
Yeah,
up.
she froze up.
Well, we'll wait. But I hope everybody's enjoying the
Halloween
show.
is great. Okay. I like Halloween. I think it's for the kids. And go. I used I used to go to Halloween parties at the Magic Castle because they give incredible. It's a Magic Castle. It's an old castle where they have had and they still do have incredible party, and the costumes would win first prize and the whole thing, dancing and costume and everything. But other than that, I sometimes go to private parties, but I'm not that much of a Halloween person because a lot of my life I had to wear costumes, okay, for different things. And
Yeah.
if I do go to parties, but I didn't wear any costume this Halloween. No, I stayed home. I didn't go anywhere. I could have,
Hmm.
but we didn't. Okay.
So
So
But
Frank, I'm sorry. I didn't dress like any Halloween. No.
well, I tell you, you have inspired all of us, I believe,
oh yeah.
not only to love others, but to when your book does come out, we'll be watching for it because it's going to be an amazing story to read. And Have Belly Will Travel. I haven't read it, but I guarantee I will find it and get a copy to read
No,
because you sound like an amazing person.
what you should do, email me your address. I will mail you the book because you don't want to go to Amazon. I don't care for them too much. And besides, they charge a lot of money for my book. And okay. And yeah, so just give me your address and I'll mail it to you and I'll autograph it to you.
I've
Wow.
got
Okay.
your email, so I will do that. And
Okay.
you just
Appreciate that.
I love your attitude. It's not an attitude that I would think that I would be hearing out of somebody who worked in Hollywood. How long was your career in Hollywood?
Well, I worked from age 16. At 24, I got married and it slowed down, but I still worked through 70s and some 80s. Okay, in 80s. But then things have turned really difficult for me in my life that I had to overcome, and I did. I overcame. So my career just kind of veered in a different direction because I was started to work behind the camera. I was a location manager. I did some directing, producing, writing. I wrote a lot of screenplays, and so on and so forth. And I just could not bring myself to carry my photograph or get into auditions again and all that. I just couldn't do it. I said to myself, no, enough is enough. I had enough. And then once in a while, a director or somebody would contact me. As a matter of fact, I have someone I'm working with, Kevin Sorbo. You might know him.
Yes.
Yeah, great,
Hercules.
great.
Hercules. Yeah.
And Colin Heaton. Colin Heaton is an author, many books. We work together, and they're Christian people, and it's refreshing to work with people like that who are honorable, not Hollywood, because Hollywood just, I don't know, I don't know where they are. I really don't know. I feel sorry for a lot of talent in Hollywood because they are prisoners of Hollywood. If they don't play games with them, they can't get a job.
Right.
Right. And it's sad, we watch it all the time and just wonder.
We do.
There are a lot of people who do not agree, but unfortunately, we need to have different opinions, but we have to do it sensibly and not with hate, because hate only divides us. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know. And if we divide it, we become weak. And we, the people, we need to stay strong. We, the people, have to unite, even with different points of view. It's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay. I welcome anything that's not the way I think, the way I feel. I want to hear it. I want to know it. That way I can communicate with you. But just if you start hating each other, you can't do that. You
Right.
can't. You
Yep.
cannot do that. Okay? So if you cannot do that, how are you going to solve problems? How can you do anything positive? Positive. I'm a positive person, and I would do anything to help anyone to be positive, So that's how I feel today.
Well, like I said before, first of all, you made me be quiet for almost an hour and a half.
And that's a miracle in itself, Tanya. Keeping Denise quiet.
That's impossible. I'm gonna have to rewatch this.
I don't know. Maybe I talk too much.
No.
Your story is inspiring, and it's amazing, and I have to respect you for all the stuff that you've done. You worked for your American dream. You got what you wanted because of hard work and determination, and your parents' hard work and determination. Not everybody can say that today. There's a lot of people that get to where they're going not because they worked for it, but because they bought it. You're like me and Ron and Carl out. We've worked for everything we have, and we're grateful for all that we have. And we're positive about that. We're positive to other people. And it's good to know that there is somebody out there in Hollywood land like us, not just giving in to all the stuff that's, see, everybody knows me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite rare to keep Denise quiet. But
Oh,
I had to put
gosh.
that up there.
I didn't mean to
okay,
do
my
that.
question
No.
to you, My question to you, Tanya, is what did you expect moving from Iran to the United States? Were you surprised at how we were over here compared to over there, or what?
Yeah, was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. It was a culture shock, but I wasn't shocked. I was young. I tried to adjust. I tried to be American. Okay? I did everything in my power to be American. Not always succeeding because in Hollywood, they always cast me as an exotic person or something, or foreigner or something like that. I was not a typical American girl, you know? So there was this kind of a prejudice against me in those days. Maybe today it wouldn't be. Things have changed since then, but in those days, they all only accepted all American girl for roles. And I
Right.
had to be cast in roles that were exotic. They call them exotic. I don't call them exotic, but they call them exotic.
Yeah,
You
today
know,
they call
because
that.
look at me. Do I look exotic?
Actually,
I
you
look
look beautiful.
normal.
No,
You
you
look
look beautiful.
beautiful, Tanya. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank
So
you. But
you're
I mean,
probably
exotic. I don't know what exotic means, but I was different. I was different. Okay.
did did you meet your husband in when you were living in Hollywood?
The one that I'm married now,
What I didn't know you were married more than once. So
twice before.
oh,
I
okay.
was I was married to the father of my son, and he passed away. And I was married to a conductor, Italian conductor, who America lived in America, but from Italy, orchestra conductor, Carlo Spiga. Unfortunately, he was an alcoholic, a very abusive one,
Mm.
and I had a very difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried very hard to help him, but I couldn't help him, you know. There's no way. I tried and tried and tried. No. I almost died because of it. Spiritually, mentally, physically. I worked really hard at that point in in a film business behind the camera, 16, 17 hours a day. I was whipped
Mm.
emotionally, physically, in every
Yeah.
way. The last time I confronted him, it was actually another miracle. Okay, I call it a miracle. Um, he had a concert at a place where they had an old um, church that the monks used to live and go to. And while my husband was rehearsing an orchestra, I went to that little church. I was so beat up emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I didn't know which end is up. Okay. So I went to that church and I sat there and I tried to pray. There was nobody there. I was the only one there. I sat there and I prayed for I don't know how long, maybe over an hour or whatever. I cried and prayed and asked God. I said, I am totally lost. I have no will. I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do with my husband. I don't know which way to turn. Please help me. On the way home in the car, my husband asked me how was his concert. Usually I would say, oh, it was great. This time I was critical. I said, you know what? It wasn't as good as it should be. He looked at me like he was a very angry man. He didn't know why I said that because I've never said that before. Anyway, we came home and he started drinking and getting drunk and again, all that. And it was abusive. I was scared, and he would get drunk and abusive until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know. So I was scared. I couldn't go fall asleep. I didn't know what he's going to do. All right. So the next day, I confronted him. I had the power that God gave me to confront him. I said, Carlo, his name was Carlo. Carlo, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. If you're not going to go and get some help from Alcohol Anonymous or anyone, I will have to leave you. He started laughing and making fun of me and this and that. I said, no, I mean it. I'm going to leave. So he didn't believe me, but I had the courage. I had called my girlfriend. God bless her soul. She's no longer with us. And she and I packed, and he just sat there watching. Where's my breakfast? No, he didn't have breakfast or some lunch or something, I would give it to him, and he just sat there. And the truck came. They took all the stuff. Before they left, he started crying and begging me not to go. I said, I won't, if you're going to get help. And he said, no, I don't have a problem. You have a problem. I go, then I have to go. I got that strength from praying and God giving it to me. And I left. And he would threaten me, call me. I said, no, if you get help, we'll talk. He never did. He was very, very mean to me when we went to court. He lied through his teeth about everything. He lied and lied to, I can't even tell you. But all I wanted was to get out and move on. It took a while, it took a while. I moved in with my son, and for a while until I got a place and everything, And so that was another feeling of, you know, feeling of God stepping in and helping me to get out of that mess. So my husband, alcoholic, he died. He was not a well man, and I took care of him. I took care of him. I prayed for him. But anyways, I was gone. He died. He was not a well man. He had a heart problems and everything. Anyway, he died, and I said, I can never get married again. And I got my act together. I learned how to be stronger. My sister gave me a book from church. It says boundaries. I put boundaries around me, If anybody come crossing my boundaries, I would speak up. I never used to speak up. I kept everything inside. I'd say, oh, it's okay. Oh, no, they don't know any better. And my husbands, both of my husbands actually, et cetera, et cetera, But I learned to speak up. So, but I said to myself, I know I don't want to get married again. And I had friends, we would go out, and girlfriends and some men friends, just friends, So I went to Elvis's event. And that's why my husband and I would say, Elvis introduced us. I went to Elvis's event, and because I wasn't supposed to go there, okay? Because I've been there 3 times, and I said, I don't want to go again. I had other things to do. I said, but I'll recommend my girlfriend who worked with Elvis. And I recommended her, and they took her. but she didn't want to travel alone. She was scared to travel. So she talked me into going with her. I said, okay, we're both going to go. Now, my husband's side, his friend and him, they had my husband is an environmentalist. He worked for companies with water purifications, big companies, okay? But on the side, he had a business with his friend. They were friends for some childhood of Elvis's thumbs print on the guitar picks, okay? And they were invited to go to Memphis. So he was there. Then at the end of the whole event, I was invited to go to dinner by Elvis Enterprises. They had like 12 people there only. And there was one seat left, and that was next to my husband. So I sat down, and he and when I saw his profile, I didn't even see him yet. I felt some strange thing, feeling like I said to him, you know, to myself, I know this man. I didn't know him, but I said, I know this man. And then he turned around. I go, no, I don't know him. Of course, I don't know him. But we start talking, and we had so many things in common. Mostly, we talked about our parents, our fathers, and this and that, family, and we just clicked. And I left, and I thought, oh, what a one. I didn't know if he was married or not. I thought, oh, what a lovely man. I would like to be friends with him. I didn't know if he was married or not because I didn't know. We didn't go there. So I went home. About 6 months later, I get an email from him saying, I'll be in Los Angeles because he lived in Pittsburgh. I will be in Los Angeles. Can I take you out to dinner? I go, okay. I thought, well, that's nice. He was a nice man, of course. So he came, we went until 5 o'clock in the morning. We talked, and we had such a amazing connection. And he told me he was not married, that he was with a woman for 16 years, and he had a biological son, and he had 4 other kids, her kids, that he brought up. So he had 5 kids that he was a father to. They all adore him. And I knew he was a good man. When I heard all that, I said, he's a good man. And then he started flying in to see me every 2-3 weeks from Pittsburgh, but he was taking care of his father at the time. His father was elderly, and there was a conversation where he wanted to move here. I go, no, 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 you cannot move here because you take care of your father. He needs you. You can keep coming and we can get together. And after several months of him flying, we finally got together more closer. And my family loved him. Okay. So that's how we met. And then when his daughter got married and I went there and we brought all his things here, we got married. It was 10 years ago in July. And we're still married. He's very spiritual, always has been. So we have a lot in common. We had dreams, as a matter of fact, that are exactly the same dreams. He had a dream, I had a dream, and we talked about it, and he goes, what? And then he started describing. I go, yes, and this and that and the other. And we realized we had the same dreams, that we were sometime, one of the dreams, we were in a yellow fields of flowers and everything and hillside. I was older, which he's younger than me now. I was older, he was younger, and he was following me. And another one dream that we were in a barn And again, I was older and he was younger, and we were digging some holes there or something, playing, you know. So we had these incredible connection together. So we are very happy together. I am so blessed to have him in my life. Very, very blessed.
It
And
sounds
that's
like
why
What
That's amazing.
what's your theory on the two people having the same dream at the same time? What's your
I
theory
don't
on
know.
that?
I
Because me and
don't
my
know.
brother had the same thing happen to us when we
Who?
were little. Me and my brother.
You?
Yep.
You and your brother?
Yep.
I don't know what it means. To be
Exact
honest, I
same
don't
dream.
know.
I
Yeah.
started telling him about the dream, and then he would finish, what I had seen or said, and then he would start talking, and I'd finish. And we figured out we were seeing the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't remember what
Yeah.
the dream was, but it was
Yeah.
weird.
not now anyway. So
It is amazing. It is really
Yeah,
amazing
it's
that this happens, you know. We had the same dream.
yeah,
It was amazing.
it
And we were
happened.
both young. We were both young, and I was always older, and I'm still older.
no, you're not.
You're not.
Like I always tell everybody,
I am. Trust
we
me,
may
he's
be,
younger.
yeah, we may have been together almost 40 years, but I'm still 29. I'm never getting any older. So
Okay.
Yeah, the math.
Good.
yeah, math
We're
doesn't
bad
add
at
up.
math.
Yeah,
You
So-
were together for 40 years?
we've been almost 40. So
40?
we met when
Good for you.
we met when I was almost 18. Makes him sound
Oh,
creepy when I
God.
say that. So
Oh, God.
and
yeah.
Frank says that you had your dreams, that it's like kindred spirits. Some people also call it twin flames. Maybe you were meant to be, and that's how I feel like about us. We were meant to be.
Well, yeah. As far as the dreams,
Yes.
I don't think I could have the same dream as, say, my neighbor across the street. There's just not a strong enough connection. I think. I don't know.
No.
But there is
Yeah.
with your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Not
brother.
Maybe you have. Yeah, maybe you have a connection to that person from whatever reason that you don't know and they don't know. You know, we
Right.
don't know. We don't know a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. We really
It'll
don't know.
all be
True.
it'll all be told to us when we in the future sometime.
Right.
God will
Right.
let us know.
Exactly.
Well, Tanya, are you appearing at any events anytime soon?
Not this year. Not this year, because I have been extremely busy doing some other things that I had to take care of. And because California is crazy.
Mm.
It is a crazy place, you know.
Yeah.
I had a property that I was renting to someone, and I had to sell it and buy something commercial in Arizona. So I had to make a lot of trips there, and I had to take care of a lot of business trying to survive here. This horrible stuff that's going on with our governor. He's not a good person.
He's an idiot.
Not a good person. Very selfish,
Yep.
very impressed with himself, very evil, actually,
I
in some
think he's
ways.
possessed. The guy is. If you ever stare at his eyes look like he's possessed all the time.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
possessed
crazy.
in what he's doing.
He's also
Yeah.
narcissistic.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's making your guys' lives out there in California just terrible.
Nothing he's
It's
done.
horrible.
Well,
I mean,
It's
it's
horrible.
happening
It is
all over
really
this
bad.
country.
anything to help anyone in this country.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad. It is really bad. He wants to be a president, you know. God help us if he
It ain't
becomes
gonna happen.
Ain't
No,
gonna
it's
happen.
not
happen.
gonna- No,
We have to
no.
keep that
It's
from
not.
happening.
Well, we have
No.
to.
God is in control. It's not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, that's
Yeah,
what somebody just said. God is in control.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Also, somebody had a message saying, I was hope,
Yes.
that
Yes.
I was hope. And I
Yes.
thank you so much for that, that someone said that to me about me. Oh, that was Jane Clark Gilmore.
Yes.
This lady is hope.
And
Thank you,
she's
Jane. Thank
from
you.
England,
oh,
right?
Jane. No, Jane's over in
Scotland.
Switzerland, I believe.
Oh.
Sweden or
Yeah,
Switzerland
she's
or
the one that
somewhere
just
over
came
there.
back from Turkey.
We go. Our show is worldwide. We go worldwide.
Oh, you go worldwide.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And like I told you at the beginning, I own this network. This network is called the Bill of Rights Network.
Glasgow. Yeah.
Glasgow, Scotland.
Glasgow. Oh, I was there.
Yep.
Oh,
Glasgow.
Jane,
Yeah, that's
I
where
love
Jane's from.
Scotland.
Glasgow.
Yeah, I love Scotland. I was there.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah, that's one
amazing.
country I'd like to go to.
Here you go. Frank says there are some South American countries Newsom can be president of.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, let's get rid of him.
That would be great.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Well, I'd like to.
Last year, I was invited to England again several times. That last year, I to Star Trek to sign autographs, and after that, after finished that whole thing, my husband and I we took a train to Scotland, and we enjoyed it so much being there. That's why I wanted to say that, because Jane is from Scotland. I love that country.
Yeah, we'd like to go there.
Yeah, we have one of our co-hosts and co-producers that lives in Wales over there. He's coming to the United States here in December.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I do too, but that's what I've been told.
Oh, he's coming to visit or move?
No, he's coming to live. He's a U.S. citizen.
Oh. Yeah, don't let him come to California.
No, he's going to Arizona, actually.
So, well,
you said Arizona he's going?
Yeah.
Is he?
He's got a job down there.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what? We have 3 minutes left. I want to thank Tanya for coming on the show and sharing her amazing stories with us. And if you ever want to come on and talk again, just let me know. We'll get you on. I think this was probably one of our best shows. And next time I have laryngitis or something, I'll definitely call you, because we don't have to say a word.
No.
We just open it up and let you go. And I think that you were very entertaining and very serious on the subjects that needed to be serious. I am impressed with you a lot.
Oh, yes. Very much.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, guys. It was my pleasure to find, you know what, you might enjoy talking to Colin Heaton. He's a published book, lots of books. He's Kevin Scorbo and him are good friends as well. You know, we're working together.
I will search him out and tell him that you recommended him to us. And what are you wanting to do?
Get back on this computer. You got a tricky mouse.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's a long story over here.
But another one got blocked.
No, she's got a twitchy mouse.
Oh,
she's got 3 computers up.
Yeah,
it goes.
Yeah, you know me. I have to have everything up.
I know.
Okay.
But thank you so much. And I'd like to invite everybody to come back and check out all the shows on the Bill of Rights Network. You can join us next Monday at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride. And again, I don't know who my guest is. I'll have to go look at my calendar, but I got somebody great scheduled. I can guarantee.
Okay, let me ask you, Denise, if I wanted to put this interview on my Facebook, is there any way I could do it?
Yes, I will.
Okay, let me know.
I will get you a link and I'll send it to you.
Okay, I'll put it on my Facebook and maybe LinkedIn too, you know?
I will definitely do that. And, you know, I've been getting a lot of views on LinkedIn lately, so we'll get it out there for you. So, and then you can join us here. And so everybody, next Tuesday we are going to have a show, but on this show, but we're only going to do how long are we doing next Tuesday?
I think we're going to do an hour and a half next Tuesday night, because after that, we're going to cover on our next show, The Conservative View, the election results from all over the country.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good.
So we're more than likely not going to have a guest. We're probably just going to talk paranormal.
Yeah, we'll just BS back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check us out at 5 p.m. next Tuesday for that.
I will try, but I'm going to be going to Florida, and I will not. I don't know where I'll be at next Tuesday. To be honest,
please, enjoy your vacation in Florida. Have a great time. And Carl, you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah, everybody, thank you for watching and your comments that came in. Tanya, I want to thank you very much for coming on this program. I mean, it was fantastic. But check out the Bill of Rights Network on Facebook and all our shows there.
Bill of Rights. It's called Bill of Rights. I thought it was called Paranormal Pride.
That's the name of the show. The network. Tanya, we're live on 8 different platforms right now.
Bill of Rights, and it's the network. Okay.
On Facebook.
All right. On Facebook.
And
okay.
YouTube.
And Tanya, whenever you do find a publisher for your book, let me know where it's at. We will put your book on our shows.
Okay.
I love the name of that book and the stories that are going to be in it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to mail it to you, Denise. I'm going to mail you the book.
Please. Okay. And like I said, I'll send you the links to everything so you'll have them in your email. And then you can put them wherever you want.
Right.
So,
okay.
But we really appreciate you coming on, and everybody have a great night.
We'll see you next week here on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Have a good evening.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.
Bless.
Bye.